What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning to another episode of Right on Cue Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Logan Chestnut, Small Batch Barbecue. Joining me tonight is my barbecue brother, Mr. Matt Blinky Osmond Sr. What's going on, my friend? How we doing?
Man, I'm doing all right. We rolled back into town from really southern Tennessee, way northern Alabama. You ever been to Bryant, Alabama?
No, never heard of that part. Is that down there by Greenbow?
I think so, actually. No, we
there.
man, the road looks exactly like it. Yes. No, we popped on an Airbnb, man. 4th of July, the new place, etc. Just kind of, I've been running a million miles an hour, and I was like, you know what? I'm taking the kids fishing on Saturday. I'm closed. Peace out. Wife had off this week, kind of scheduled us some vacay time, and we just ran around. There was a hot tub in there, and we hung out, and then went to was it Fort Stone something? But I don't know, some park off Murfreesboro Highway in Manchester. So whatever Tennessee State Park is over there. But we had a good weekend. So I've actually been just relaxing and back to business tomorrow. What about you?
Man, I have been running around 10,000 ways with my head cut off, launching a new business venture. So working on that, working with the marketing team, which is taking longer than anticipated. And just kind of, so I moved. I'm officially Murfreesboroan.
Okay.
So learning kind of the area and getting all situated as, you
By the way, that's a big swing from Clarksville to Murfreesboro.
Yeah, I'm loving it, honestly. It's funny. We're renting now. We're building a house. One of my best friends, he's building the house for us. And so we're in this little like new community. And they built these little cottages, on one side is like duplexes and condos on one side, and like on the back side is like cottages. And I guess they're not selling well because we're literally the only people that is on our street, which I love, and we're renting it. So it's even better though. No, it's great though, because like it's literally we own the whole backside of the neighborhood. It's like our kids can ride their bikes around. So it's been awesome. It's been great.
That's awesome, man. There's go ahead.
No, I was saying we don't have to share like walls. So in cottages we share a wall with another one, and the other one is actually like the show cottage. So it's like even better. So we don't have to hear like noises and stuff.
I do know what that's like in a former life when I was still in Florida. This is 2009, so it tells you what the housing market was back then. But I was I was a housing salesman for a brand new development. There were 5 model homes. I lived in the 5th one, and there were only 3 residents. And this neighborhood being developed was something like 280 homes. There was a lake kind of in the front part, middle. And so long as I kept that model home, livable, but like I had to clean it because people would still come in there if they were looking at a home to buy. Dude, the most boring job because nobody was buying a house in 2009.
Dude, that sounds terrible though, man. Because like the worst part about selling a house is like having it show ready at all times. And dude, that would be horrendous for me because it'd be like, oh crap, 30 minutes, we got 2 people coming over. Crap.
Well, and I'm the ding dong that this was a 4-bedroom house that I was living in, and I chose to make the master my bedroom. So every day was making my bed. I did have my toothbrush out and whatnot, but it was kind of more staged as, just all the fixtures being in it. I just had to make sure the kitchen was clean, which was probably the hardest part in all seriousness. But there's a guest that kind of knows his way around the kitchen, and definitely some pits too.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have our guest on tonight, man. Well, hell, you know what? This is your guy. You invited him on, so how about you give the introduction?
Well, we have none other than Mr. Frank Cox. He is known as a smoker builder, and he is a terrific salesman for Smoke Slinger Pits. So let's go ahead and bring Frank Cox on.
Mr. Cox, what's going on, Mr. Cox? How you doing, Frank?
Hey guys, how you doing? Good to be on. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. We got nuts and Cox. I mean, it's a whole fun podcast right here, man.
So Frank, let me, if I can, for everybody, let's get our timeline. I had talked to you over, what I call barbecuedating.com over Instagram and some stuff. And I learned more. Well, that's just what I call it. I learned more about you through Blaine out in Vegas.
Yeah, Blake Martell.
Yep. And he, just him building pits and knowing you. And I think he kind of, did he buy a plane off you, or did he just shig all of them off of you?
Oh, no, he's been around quite a bit. He's bought parts and kits and all kinds of stuff.
And me talking and learning more about Blaine and him, I mean, he just, man, you might as well be up there on Mount Rushmore, for him and whatnot. And then last year at the Royal, I finally got to meet you.
In person, yeah.
And that was, as for everybody listening, I was telling Logan, but I was telling Frank, the knowledge this man has, his career, his history, both in refrigeration and in heating, as we're going to learn here just in a minute, he told me probably, I'd say 1/29th of what he actually probably knows. And I left the first conversation with Frank thinking, just having these big peacock feathers, that I actually knew something. That's how detailed, but how much of a passion all this is for you. So Frank, let's do the standard thing. Go ahead and tell our listeners, however Reader's Digest or however long you kind of want to give a background on yourself.
Well, I appreciate that intro. First of all, it was a really good time to hang out with you and meet you in person at the Royal. You were there on behalf of yourself and the Good Charcoal.
Yep.
Which, that's some really great stuff. I've used it quite a lot, and I do like that brand of charcoal. But as far as me, I'll keep it pretty brief. I've been doing something with moving temperature and all kinds of fluids, whether it be vapor or liquid, since I was 19 years old, scared to death in the second Walmart Supercenter ever built, working on the refrigeration in there. And I fell in love with it. True story, I begged the man to give me a job, and he later told me 8 years after he hired me because he felt like I wouldn't last and I would, get off the back. He just hired me to get rid of me. But anyway, so
you showed him.
I did. So I made a trade out of the food equipment side, the commercial refrigeration side, and all of that. And pretty much there's 6 of us in our family. All my brothers wound up working for me except one over the years, and even one of my sisters. And my brother, the one right under me, Nick, he still runs that company today. But we've worked on everything you can think of, from millions and millions and millions of BTUs of makeup air units in big factories, all the way down to boilers and steam and fryers and grills and walk-ins and all that. And I was fortunate enough to be able to find a hobby that fit very well into that little niche right there, so I could do it professionally as a refrigeration man, owning my own company. But then I could also start another business called Smoker Builder, which is where I took the engineering side and the fluid mechanics side into the barbecue industry. And that's where Smoker Builder started. And I started in 2007, but it was a website in 2010 is how that worked. And so since then, we've published over 240 sets of blueprints that show people how to build smokers, and we sell internationally. I don't know of a country we haven't sold plans in, except those that are not legal to sell in. But people in Africa, like there's an old boy over there named Michael Robinson in Ghana that's built more pits than anybody I know of from our plans, in his little shop feeding villages, so it's pretty awesome to have that kind of connectivity.
So do you have, like, on the plans aspect of it, like what kind of variety do you have? Is it just purely offset, like 250 gallon smokers, or do you have the airflow diagrams for the different like size tanks or also other smokers?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The only thing we don't have plans for is a rotisserie, and we hear it every day pretty much. But um, there's a reason for that. But anyway, we do have plans for every size and kind of pipe and tank and every kind of thing you can think of to make reverse flows primarily, but then also our offset smokers we've been adding to for quite a few years. Pretty much anything you got in your mind, we can get you hand grenades close to what you see in your mind, and you can build that pit reliably without worrying about, if is it going to work?
Right.
Just take that edge off. But we do have like gravity feeds and like all of that, gravity feeds, pellet cookers, plans for all that too. Um, you
You
know,
got some nice direct heat ones on there also.
Yeah, we got the old Franken cube is still around. That's kind of where I cut my teeth into the direct heat side of things. It was basically in them days a square ugly drum. Um, but now, with the smoke slinger pits, which is what we actually sell, that's the only pit we sell that is manufactured for sale. But smoke slinger pits is Dustin McCormick. He's
Mhm.
our partner in that. We're his distributors, so I love that thing.
Now, speak about those for a second.
Sure.
I know obviously the size of them. Do you guys
Mhm.
go bigger? Because the one on the website is what, a 24-48, I think.
Yeah, so currently we have two sizes. We have the full size, which is like my favorite. It's
Mhm.
it'll do like a 48 to 50 pound hog, hooves on, head on, no
Mhm.
problem. Um, the full size is a 24 by 48, and that's the biggest one we have currently.
Okay.
Teasing something else next year.
Okay. All
Uh,
right.
but the mini is our smallest, so we just have the two sizes. And one reason we haven't launched a bigger one yet is because, like, I mean, there's yeah, the one we have right now is the most popular,
I
and
gotcha.
you know that's it about that. But yeah, they're really great pits. I fire that full size up 3 times for every time I fire up an offset.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many pits do you own that are Franks? Like not
I
that.
recent
Go ahead.
Mhm. I recently counted. I have like 24. The most I ever had at one time was like 35 or something. But there was a couple buddy deals that
Uh,
were mixed in with that, where we all
Okay,
had like a hand in it.
I gotcha.
Hmm.
Do, do I think he'll get it. Do you have some of the class, like do you have a Weber kettle, like the old 22, maybe back of the barn, or maybe it's on the back patio or such? Like, do you have any of these old kind of iconic type things, or are they all more from yourself?
So almost every one of them I have now are stuff that either I built or smoke slingers. But
Okay.
I did have a Weber kettle up until 2 years ago, and I gave it to a buddy of mine that didn't have anything. Outside this back patio window here, there is a Camp Chef uh, $399 pellet cooker that I bought one time. But true
Okay.
story, buy it to cook on it. I bought it for a Facebook ad that I was going to do, showing that you can't plug it in the woods. And
Uh-huh.
I like that.
we went out there and filmed that ad and ran it for our drum smoker. But I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna keep this thing, plug it in, and use it.
Dude,
You know,
don't be hating on the pellets. All right. We are a team pellet revolution on this over here in a small batch.
right on.
You
Yeah.
didn't
No.
you weren't always team pellet though.
No,
Logan
I've
has
smoked.
switched pits.
I've smoked. Well, yeah. I mean, name me a barbecue guy that's been around a while that hasn't jumped around. I mean, you got to try on some slippers before you find one that fits. And oh, I like the hybrid method, man. I like starting my meats on the can and then finishing on the pellet.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, but no. So you have plans, like, so what kind of got you into like to making to doing the plans, like engineering background, or are you just a tinkerer who just was like, you know what, I'm this would be kind of be fun to figure out, because I mean I thought about building a pit, but then you see all these like side of the road Bubba, people that made smokers out of propane tanks and whatnot, and just the airflow is horrendous. How long did that kind of take you to kind of figure out because it's a lot of math when it comes to all this stuff? I didn't realize, honestly, until I kind of dug into it. But how long did it kind of take you to figure out the mathematics of the airflow of different types of smokers?
That's a great question, and I would love to answer that. So in the early days of my barbecue career, there was no Facebook and there was no social media or anything. YouTube was just getting going, and so we were limited on where we could get information. Well, I built this house in 2007 is when I moved in, and I built a deck on the back of the house, and I decided I wanted to put some kind of a grill out there. At the time, I cooked a lot, but I wasn't really like a barbecue guy or anything. So never cooked a brisket, put it that way, or ribs that were real. So
Sure.
I decided I was going to go ahead and figure this thing out, and I bought a Traeger back when it was made of metal from the local plumbing supplier, and it was a 070, and it came with a cookbook. And I cooked my first brisket called Bruce's Brisket. If you have that old cookbook, it's I still got it. And it was the best brisket I ever had, but instead of what it is today is like, nah. And so I started goofing around looking for recipes and other ideas how to cook. And then I found this place called Smoking Meat Forums. And then I started to look around and for recipes. All them guys' food, man, it looked way better than mine. And I was like, I just ain't cooking on the right thing. It's the natural progression that we take as barbecue guys. Spend more money on more equipment, instead of learning how to cook. So what happened is I wound up looking at what these other guys had, and there was this thing called mods, and then there was guys building them. And so I was like, well, I can figure this out. I'm a fabricator, I'm a refrigeration guy, I can fix anything. So I got in there and started duking it out, and you can actually find my original posts. They're still on that site public.
Is that site still active?
Yeah. Huh. I'm not going to tell you my username. You got to dig around. So you can figure out who I am. You'll see the OG actual questions that I asked, like, how does it work? And I remember there was this dude in there. He was an old. Now, when I say a boiler engineer, they call them stationary engineers. And this old boy ran a boiler in a big old hotel. And those guys are specialists, don't underappreciate them. And I remember talking through to him kind of back and forth in a couple of threads about flue law.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, so there's a lot to this. And then I found the spreadsheet from Alien Barbecue, and I downloaded a copy of it, and I started playing with those numbers, and I kind of cracked around and asked some questions nobody could answer. And so then I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to figure this out. Like the specific one was, how big should the gap be at the end of my baffle plate on a reverse flow smoker? And that engineer guy kind of told me what he thought. And so I went with his number, and then I looked at some other stuff on the another forum called the Smoke Ring. And that's actually where the Alien Barbecue Calculator came from. And long story short, I started building those things and testing them out, and I came up with my own formula.
So if I can stop you for a second, because I think that's underappreciated. When you say building those, you mean the pits themselves, correct?
Yeah, reverse flows.
Now,
I was building small ones.
Would you take one and then augment or take that baffle back out or cut it back or add and weld some more of that gap, or were you just building a whole another separate one?
No, I actually just made an adjustable damper. I found an old piece of lead screw on a gate valve and a big old nasty handle, and I put that on there because it looked cool, and made a little wheel that you could turn, and then that would open and shut the thing, and I could cook with it open or closed or whatever.
Okay.
Real Goldberg process,
Yeah. Well, but I mean,
it looked awesome though.
Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah, you still have any of those around?
Actually, that pit is still floating around. A guy named Stacy down here bought that pit from like the third guy that bought it from after. Like, it's on
From
its
you?
fourth owner now around here local. So
That's
can't
not
believe
too
it ain't rusted
shabby.
out yet.
Well, would you say of what you know now, you've been, decade plus, almost two into this, would you feel like you were just really on to so many early things, or would you look at younger, pit guy Frank and be like, yeah, you thought you knew, but you really don't? Like, how close were you in those initial days?
So the truth of the matter is, we all feel like we're inventing something really cool in the pit building world when we come up with a new idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I talk a lot on my YouTube channel and in our Smoker Builder the letter U.com. It's our private community full of
Mm-hmm.
geeks like me. I have some engineering courses and stuff in there, and we talk about like this vertical baffle plate thing. Well, here we are, Jambo did it before me, and then I kind of took over Jambo's kind of idea, and then I, spun it my way, and now here we are on like, the fifth or sixth version of that idea. And I'll just bring it up. Jeremy Yoder told me here a while back. We were talking. He was at Memphis in May, I guess, his first time walking through there, and there was an old guy there that had a pit that he built like 40 years ago that
Mm-hmm.
had that same idea in it. So, the thing is that we all think we stumble on something unique and novel, but not really. So that advice to my younger self wouldn't be just. It would be like, don't feel like that you like invented anything. Just lean into it and make it unique for yourself,
I
and
like that.
try to mimic, not copy. You know that would be the deal. Make it unique and go from there.
In
Uh,
in your
did I
time,
answer your question?
you did, you did.
Okay.
In your
Okay.
time really tinkering and having your teeth in this process, I have a theory, and I want to see if you agree or disagree with it. Do
Mhm.
you agree that the drum, right, that vertical smoker has had the biggest launch as far as popularity, uses, etc., or is there another style pit like resurgence of offsets? Not that offsets really, have gone away per se, or is it a direct heat type cut? Like, is the one popular pit that has just boomed way more by margins than any other?
That's a great question. Honestly, my research as far as like market share and stuff like that. Another handy tool is Google Trends.
Okay.
Um, so the the pellet, the guys that came out with pellet smokers like Traeger and
Hmm.
GMG, all those guys that have been in it forever, Rectech, all those guys. So they have done, in my opinion, more for barbecue than anybody ever will be able to do. And as far as popularizing backyard barbecue, and at least the kind of barbecue that we want to eat,
Yeah.
right? They've done a great job with that. Next on the list, I believe, would have to be like offset smokers,
Okay.
just because uh, just what like Texas has done with the Texas Top 50 Monthly and all these really hip joints that are going down there, and the great barbecue that's coming out of them. It's basically a marketing machine is basically what it is. And that has really made, brought barbecue, wood smoked barbecue to the forefront. Then under that, I would say cans.
Okay.
Uh, the cans have, like, of course I was there from the beginning. I knew Snail personally,
Hmm.
and got to hang out with him a few times, and Eric Burkhart and all those guys. And the story behind, you know there's multiple different versions of the drum smoker, of course, that people have come up with over the years, but I like the most is Snails. And it's on my Instagram if you go back far enough. The OnlyFans Barbecue interviewed me about it,
Hmm.
and I told the whole story on there, but that's El Presidente.
There he is
from Smoke Slinger Pits. But anyway, the drum was mostly popular because of the way it was introduced as a pit that anyone could build cheaply or free. And that kind of, stunted its growth commercially, I think, until Pit Barrel Cooker came around. And then, Pit Barrel Cooker, those guys, I remember when they started. And the first video I saw on YouTube, I don't even know if it's there, I haven't looked for it. The first video I seen that they made on YouTube was a wooden deck with this little old 30-gallon barrel on it. Took the lid off. They had the little short charcoal basket sitting in the bottom. And old boy had a can of lighter fluid doing this on a thing, and then with his thumb, and but it choked out because there wasn't no air in there. So anyway, I do remember that video, but that's kind of when it got started, I think. And then Gateway Tim just like knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I remember the first contest is where I met Blinky, was in Clarksville, and there was a guy that ran 4 cans, and I thought he was the dumbest guy in the world. Like, what are these trash cans that these guys cooking barbecue on? And then little did I know it would take the competition scene by storm. But I mean, that's kind of how it is. I feel like it's everything. It's clothes, it's music, it's slang words, it's everything. Over time, everything kind of rotates through and kind of becomes trendy. And we talk about that a lot in competition barbecue, and you've seen it in just regular barbecue of what kind of pits people want. What is it you think draws people to certain types of smokers? So, I mean, is it just like their availability or the level of skill they have? For instance, like when you think of like traditional, like, barbecue, restaurant barbecue, you think of their offsets. And then, but some people are like, well, I don't want to spend, half a rick of wood and 16 hours cooking anything. So that's when is that what made like pellet smokers and can smokers and all the smaller, quicker cooks more popular in your opinion?
So I think price is a myth when it comes to barbecue. Is kind of how I would put that.
Pay once, cry once.
Well, I think it's because like value is the thing that sticks its head out so hard in this industry, because it's it's called an irrational passion. So it's like, do you know anybody that just buys a cooker, cooks on it, sells it, buys another one, and doesn't like keep the first one? No. Like we
no, not
the majority 80-20 rule. I'll say that there's the Pareto or whatever it is going here. So we got the 80%ers are the guys that have like 37 pits, and then there's the 20%ers that sell their pit to buy another one. So I think what it is that the first bite of food, that was the best bite of food, plus who was with them and where they were. That's the equation. That's what gets somebody hooked. And then whenever their quest is then like amplified by frustration. So typically, like, there's this thing I like to call smile pain. So, people that in a picture, if don't the key smile, the phrase smile pain means like you're afraid to smile in a picture.
Yeah.
Because maybe your teeth are messed up or whatever. And so it's something that you don't feel until you have to do it. Right. Well, now we're on the spot and we got to cook for the family or some friends, or they're coming to my house, and now I'm really afraid, and we got all this frustration pent up and we can't cook barbecue. So now we've had this great experience amplified by the fear factor that we face with cooking great barbecue. And it's like we just hit this loop that we have this big vacuum now that we got to fill. And so we're always on the quest for the best bite of barbecue. We can either cook or eat. And my best barbecue bite, I have to tell you this, best bite of barbecue ever was my first and only trip to Burnt Bean Barbecue. Ernest made me and I will never forget it.
Can we settle the debate right here, right now, once and for all? The best barbecue comes off a blank pit?
I don't think it can be
Oh,
sold. There's
come
so
on.
many
It's
Yeah,
right there.
Blink,
Just
you
say
know,
it.
it's
hits.
all
Just
about
say
the smoker.
it's off of an offset. That's right. That's the right answer. It's off
I
of an offset pit.
well,
Disagree.
I would have to say it's the guy. So I
Thank
used to
you.
tell people when I was going through all the math and stuff and with all these plans, dissecting the atom and trying to really get the formula right for the most precise, efficient pit that anybody could run,
Mhm.
on these reverse flows was where we were mostly working. Um, I would tell customers on the phone that were really worried about it because we spent a lot of time on the phone with customers. And I would tell them, look, it's 50% the pit, the other 50% is the guy running it. Like, you just gotta, it's not a 60-40, it's a 50-50 because if you don't know how to run a pit or if you're feeding it garbage, you're going to get garbage out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
guys
I, th-
just have to
I think
make
it's
them
50,
so
40, 10.
perfect. Yeah.
I think it's 50, 40, 10. It's 50% the pit, 40% the cook, and 10% the quality of the meat. Because you throw some jerky on there that I've seen some so-called ribs at some of these off-brand food places that have no fat quality or nothing like that. I mean, you're going to turn out some, no matter what, I don't care who it is, you ain't turning out some good quality meat or food with those kind of people.
So, question for you, Frank, right here from Brothers Q Barbecue Supply. How often and what method do you recommend for internal cleaning for your offsets?
Man, I got a YouTube video about it on My Pit Bingo. If you go to Smoker Builder on YouTube, you'll see that video.
Okay.
Actually, I have one for the inside, and I have several videos about the outside as well. But literally, I'm getting ready to, in the next 2 days, I've got to clean Bingo. That's my big offset, my fun one. He's been neglected really bad, and I got to take care of him. But the method that I prefer, you're going to need a like a drywall blade of some kind that's flexible because you're going to have to get around some corners, like a 4-inch or 5-6 inch, something like that. If it's a big pit, you're going to need some kind of I use nylon bristle, like stiff nylon bristle brushes, scrub brushes. I don't use wire brushes because I don't want those wires to come out of the brush and be stuck on a food grate or something.
Yeah.
Nylon's not that great either, but it's better than a emergency room trip,
Yep. Which
And
happens.
yeah, I'll scrape all the solids first, and then I'll kind of just scoop them out. I don't worry about trying to wash them out; I just scoop them out, and then I'll power wash the inside of the pit, and then I'll just use that scrub brush where it's wet and where it's the worst, and I'll just scrub as hard as I can with the brush. And you want short, stiff bristles on that brush, and then I power wash it again, and then I build a fire and dry it out. I don't use soap. If it's really bad, you can, but I try not to. Um, and then once it's dry, I season it. You got to build a fire and heat it up. But
I mean, we all know those guys, and I hate going to other people's cookouts sometimes because I always look at their pit. Because I had a parent, one of my parent friends, he found out, of course, when he found out I did barbecue, he wanted to show me his cooker, and he opened up his pit and he said, "Look at it." And it was, I mean, I'm not kidding you, it was like this thick of just funk on there. And I was like, "Oh God, man, you need to clean it." He goes, "What are you talking about?" "No, that's seasoning." Like, no, man, it's that's the biggest, I think that's the biggest myth that we as barbecue cooks need to share the gospel. Like a dirty pit does not equal a seasoned pit. Cleaning your pit tremendously can help the quality of your food, and also prevent, like Smokey the Bear says, can prevent forest fires. Because I have seen more than one, especially pellet cookers, they're notorious for it, have a grease fire because it's been overly dirty.
So if you want to see my latest method, go to, I don't know if El Presidente is still watching. Maybe he can drop a link to that live I did in the chat from the Facebook group. But if you go to our Facebook group, Smoke Slinger Pit Owners Group, if you go in there and scroll back, you'll see vertical videos of me talking with a little microphone here. And one of those is me cleaning my full-size Smoke Slinger directly before I had to film a YouTube video on it after it sat outside for a good week of rain and the last food was in it, right?
Mm.
And so my favorite trick these days is the putty knife deal. Scrape it all down the bottom. Use the putty knife as a squeegee because you can on the smoke slinger. It's flat.
Yeah.
Squeegee that all over to one side and grab your old handy dandy, trusty and nasty Harbor Freight shop vac and just
And
vacuum all that up. Water and all, water, grease, it all
just get it all in
vacuums.
there.
It was great. You'd never even know it hit it.
What you said power wash, and I'm sure you cover a lot of this on the YouTube channel video. Do you recommend a steam clean with the fire going and then throwing, half buckets of water or whatever in there?
Well, that's a great question. So we used to do that before, like anytime we were trying to get a pit back to that, I would call it common ground is the best way to say it. Because like there's this smell that you can get out of a freshly seasoned pit, a wood burning pit. That smell is just like pure the wood smoke smell. It's not
Yeah.
going to be like seasoned, like built up on the grates seasoned, And anyway, we used to do that after we would scrape and brush and all that. We would take and mist the inside of it with a water hose, but you got to get it up to like 300, 350. Like you got to build a stomping fire, and that metal's got to heat up hot enough that
Yeah.
it will steam off that water. And I show that in a different video on the Smoker Builder YouTube channel. It's an old one a couple years ago, but it literally will release the surface grease. Like you're never going to get down in the pores of the material, but you got to get it super hot for that. But it'll release that surface grease. However, there's guys that clean hoods for a living also.
Yeah.
And those guys have like this hotsy totsy deal. It's like a hot water boiler power washer. Those guys can steam clean anything. If they can clean hoods, they can clean a pit.
Yeah.
So if it's that bad, you can take care of it with a little bit of chemical in that, and then re-season it, and you'll be good.
What's your opinion on the method? I mean, I do it personally on my cans or whatever. It's you take that oven degreaser you get from Sam's and spray it in there, wash it off, and then re-season it. Do you think that works on cans, or can it also work on offsets?
It could work on offsets. It's just a lot of spray, I think. But it works definitely. I wouldn't do 1,000 gallon that way just because it's a lot of cans of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'd probably use Purple Power or something, if I had to get that deep. But that on cans is a great way to do it. I always used to do my competition cans that way.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the greatest thing I learned from Barbecue League was how they clean their cans, and because you used to get in there, you try to scrub and scrub and scrub, and literally with that oven cleaner, you get just spray and it just eats it, melts it away, and it pissed me off so bad because I can tell you how many hours I spent just trying to scrub that stuff, and it didn't get half as clean as it did with just a little bit of spray.
Well, if you just clean them regularly, then it doesn't build up. I'm just
nerd.
Yeah, for sure. The spray from Sam's, I've seen it remove paint, by the way.
Oh yeah. That stuff is like Britney Spears. It's toxic. It is.
So Frank, you're now in, did you say 2007, 2009?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can go there.
So you're kind of full on into this, or were you still kind of dabbling in refrigeration and repair and whatnot?
So truth be told, I sold my part of the business to my brother, the refrigeration business, in 2018 summer.
Okay.
But I was still around, I wasn't as active, I had to help my brother's guys with a few things. There was stuff that like only I worked on, because I was the old timer. But so I was always involved, but as a matter of fact, even recently I was. But the business itself with Smoker Builder, like it was a full-time business in 2012. We were manufacturing for Justin Martin when he started Lava Lock and all that. We were doing a lot of manufacturing for him. Like the door you see on the drums, that was me and my partner Tom.
Okay.
That made that, and a lot of stuff like that.
Very nice. What You get any, as you grew in this industry, did you have any, big time barbecue guy who you revered, or, the old school Myron Mixons, Tuffy Stone type, they were on TV and everybody kind of knows within the barbecue community now, like, you ever see these guys out and just initially get shell shock and then they come over there and say, "Hey, Frank," and they know who you are?
Only a couple times I experienced that. It's pretty rare for me.
Okay.
I those guys, man. So there's the old school barbecue guys, like some of those guys, man, nobody even knows their name anymore, and it breaks my heart. But just because of the history of barbecue and like there's an old dude named he just passed away, Dave Baldine. Uh, Hell of a guy. He literally was capturing the story of barbecue on his YouTube channel, Wired Barbecue. But to watch it today, most people wouldn't even understand it. They wouldn't know the relevance of the people. But and then Dave was live streaming at all of these different events. The American Royal back. In the early days of KCBS, he was live streaming contests when there wasn't really a place to do it. He was using RTMP and putting it out on a website,
Wow.
which is pretty intense. But guys like Todd Johns were there, Andy Groneman, you probably know those guys' names. That was the funnest day of barbecue for me. This was back then because, I was some punk kid that was at I was cooking the American Royal 2013, and 2011, seeing all these superstars there, and from barbecue pitmasters and stuff, and yeah, it was awesome. But they didn't know who I was.
Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, I just figured as your business grew, well, but you also have, as you mentioned earlier, you also had a marketing side to the business, and it sounds like you were pretty A, heavy in research, B, heavy in forms. So I feel like within the technology allotted at that time, like I said, YouTube was just in its kind of infancy. But I feel like you were getting the name out there and the idea, and like you said, asking the right questions.
Yeah, it was really interesting back then. So me and a guy named Gabe, we called him Polar Bear. He was gifted with the ability to get us in places, and we live streamed the American Royal in 2012. We were the first ones to ever actually like internationally stream it, and
Wow.
we teamed up with Dave Baldine. That's how I got to know him, and that really started the bug for me. And that's about when I started publishing on Instagram, because it was just getting started, and Facebook. And I think, I think just building the story is just, you just got to publish all the time, like never not publish. If it's interesting to you, it's interesting to somebody else. And if you don't think it's interesting, it's probably still interesting to somebody else, So, yeah, can you remind me what the question was? I went rabbit trail road on you.
Which is fine. Just
I'm reliving my memories.
I stemmed
Concise.
I stem from asking if any of the, again, quote, big name guys, came up to you, knew who you were, but just take us through that progress, like you said, early on to Instagram and whatnot. And if it's interesting, it's there, it's you. Like, have you changed your marketing strategy, or have you always been steadfast of just put it out there?
That's a great question. So the only thing I've changed really is being really focused on whose attention I'm trying to get. When you're doing podcasts and YouTube videos and Instagram posts and Facebook, whatever it is that you're trying to do, we want to take the walk, the barbecue walk, and start something, a business, a business. We just want to be involved is really the nuts and bolts of it. Barbecue is a great part-time business incubator.
Mm-hmm.
Rubs get started every day. And so the thing is when you're in that phase and you're starting to try to build a following and all of that, you get more concerned with building the following and someone recognizing that you're doing it, that you kind of lose target and focus with what you enjoy about it or what your message is, and who you're trying to, like, who you want to be with, like, who do you want to hang out with in barbecue, because not everybody, I mean, I'll tell you this, barbecue is such an awesome community because everybody loves barbecue and everybody loves everybody. And you'll see a few flame wars here and there over which side of the foil should be up, shiny or, other than that, it's a pretty easy going place,
Yeah.
and it's hard to find someone that hates you in barbecue. But so it makes it even more attractive to go out and on this quest to get what we call now it slipped my mind, vanity metrics. We look for the likes and the shares and the follows and the comments, and we get way down a rabbit hole where that becomes what we're most concerned about is how we're performing, right?
Mm.
And we lose focus on the private messages that come in from guys that are asking for help with their recipe or running their pit or the pit design or whatever. Other guys that are trying to do what you're doing, and so they're asking you, well, how did you get started, and all this kind of stuff, or just the customers that are actually like anxious to give you money to help them get the same result that you're getting,
Yeah.
because
Right.
that's all what they're after, so my message has changed well, it was never really too far from that, but it really focused in the last, probably since 2018, on helping the people that I feel I'm best at helping, instead of just trying to just do this big atom bomb, huge push to get attention. If does that answer it?
It does. It does. Do you find yourself going in segments? Because here's what I know: you haven't always just built pits of one aspect or another. You built other cooking devices as well.
Mhm.
Any favorites that come to mind, or talk about within that same aspect a really good success and a really not so good success?
So the baby Draftmaster all-in-one steak cooker, drum smoker thing was an absolute dismal flop. It hurt my feelings really, really bad, and it hurt my bank account.
Oh man, that's a double whammy. And so
But
describe that one for us.
so version, I don't know, was it 4? Version 4 of my drum smoker outfit was called the Draftmaster, and the SCA steak cook-off thing was really starting to get amped up. And I still had an interest in competition barbecue and wanting to cook again one day, but I was too busy to do it. And so I was like, let's just make a 30-gallon drum. We get calls all the time. People want a 30-gallon drum smoker that's smooth-sided, that they can use for more like kids queue or steak cook-off or whatever.
Mhm.
So we did it. I mean, that thing was like the perfect solution to a problem nobody had. It's basically what it was. But it included a set of grill grates from Grill Grates. You could turn in it was awesome, dude. It's just a 30-gallon drum smoker you could use as a drum smoker to do your chicken. But the night before, when SCA was happening, it had a separate little charcoal basket that sat up at the top that you could flip, your steaks on. And I did some pretty good steaks on it. I was pretty impressed. Nobody else was.
Okay.
So that was my flop.
Fair enough.
Hey, have you gone out, some of the major manufacturers? I'm sure you've, researched and played around with a lot of these offsets. What is one thing you see tell me something you've seen somebody do that you were impressed with, and you don't have to mention any names, but have you seen some of these commercial pits that you're less impressed with, and if so, like what was kind of the issue you were seeing? Was it the gauge of steel? Is that as because some of the, I feel like, especially like when a lot of pits go commercial, they go cheaper and cheaper on the quality of steel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that?
Or mention names if you want, but that's
I'll try not to. So in my opinion, I have to qualify this because I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying it's not a best practice and that best practice is coming from the consumer's side. So, were we going to talk about this from backyard offset or backyard cookers, or from a commercial side, or both?
We do both. I mean,
both.
Okay. Both. Yeah. I mean, for instance, I'll say a name like the OG Traegers. Like when they came out, the steel quality is good, and they had some. It was a nice quality pit versus the stuff they're making now with some of the thin metal and stuff like that. It's just totally different quality, and I feel like it's less of a pit than it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so that we'll go that way then. That feels better. What you're looking at there is the ability to produce as fast as the market is pulling. So the demand from consumers pulls very, very hard. And the harder you market and the better you get at marketing, the harder it is when you have a winning product. Like in the early days, pellet smokers were a winning product because they shrank the amount of time it took to get the thing lit. Mm-hmm. And they also took all the frustration out of how to run it, right? So with that being said, they created a massive amount of demand and pull from consumers, and they had to keep up. And so eventually they had a choice. They either had to stop marketing and try to get and stop the surge, or they had to find other ways to manufacture faster. And mass manufacturing is where those guys land, because the demand pulled them faster than they were able to grow. And so the only way they can keep up is they have to start cutting costs to manufacture so that they can afford to expand infrastructure. And so as they cut those costs, the consumer's affected. We always say price is a myth, but price is a myth to the guy that sees the value. If someone's shopping on price, they don't see value. All they see is the price the other guy is, and they're trying to get it cheap. So we wind up trying to compete with the cheap guy, and we start cutting the thickness of material or even the alloys used in order to get it even cheaper. So, that's kind of a big reason why you see these box store cookers. They rust out so fast from the inside. I always say a pit dies from the inside out, not from the outside in. The exterior elements have little to do with the pit wasting away. So that's a big piece of it right there. We're talking about
commercial.
I get down a rabbit hole and I don't want to come out.
I got a two to that you can know where we're thinking on the other side. Do you think let's stick with pellet grills, pellet cookers and some of the more popular brand names. Do you think they've gone the route of like household appliances? Like refrigerators back in the 60s, 70s, I mean, they'll outlive you. They're trying to make the most well-made, highest quality fridges out there. But then some genius marketers decide, hey, why are we making them that last 20 years when we can make them last 8 years and they'll buy more? Do you think resell. The resale, do you think that has played a part in there making it so where the lifespan is significantly less than what it used to be, and so therefore the turnover will be greater?
So yes, and continuous improvement. So the iPhone, there's a new iPhone every year until whatever happened recently with Jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as of course you. So I guess the way to say it right is to say that they design failure in, but also because they don't want it to last 20 years with mass-produced equipment, they also try to come out with a new mousetrap every so often, reducing by. So, and multiple temperature probes, and
right.
you know,
I mean, I'm guilty of being. Yeah, I'm guilty of being, attracted to new shiny things. I mean, we all are. I mean, Matt, I know you do too. We see, the new toys and new accessories that comes out in the barbecue realm. So I mean, I think that's just human nature. You're looking for the new shiniest thing. Yeah. But it's definitely see a less of a quality wise from before to now, like you're talking about trying to mass produce, and there's more people getting. I feel like there's more people getting to the home cooking and barbecuing and stuff like that, and they're making it more accessible to those people. Because I mean, if your first cooker you're smoking on is one of your offsets, I mean that's pretty intimidating to especially a newbie cooking versus you turn a knob like, oh, what you're essentially just taking some of the guesswork out of it and turning it knob to a certain temp, and then there it is.
And then there's one pit that I saw. I think it's still available. I have not taken the time to read up on it. Do you remember the Cletus pit when it came out?
It seems I remember the name, but I don't remember the pit.
So it's a double stacked. It's an offset and a pellet in one pit. And the idea that I understood is traditional offset, you close down one tamper. I guess you could have it open and it maybe with a baffle plate, it could be reverse flow. But then on the other side, you have your pellet hopper and your auger, where if you're done throwing sticks, you go to your other side of your heat source and turn on your pellet to maintain your heat. You ever seen that?
Built-in oven on an offset?
Yeah.
In essence, yeah. And then there was
it's like a hot box.
Well, wasn't there a wood chip pellet?
Yeah,
they all can do
ripped.
That. There you go.
Grills ripped.
Did that ever make it? Did Jason squash that?
There was a really nasty set of legal matters that was launched in the middle of it. Is what it was.
Gotcha. Okay.
It stood for something. LOL.
Okay. Okay.
Fair enough.
I want to say it so bad.
Go for it if you want to, man. But
great platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess part of my question, and Logan, to your point about new shiny things, is like, what's the next
big thing?
Yeah, big development. And to me, there's only been one, and I think I'm a dunce for even saying this, but you, of all people, could you ever have both a refrigeration part built into a pit, where, i.e., if I am seasoning briskets and butts overnight and I put it, there you go.
That's it right there, brother. Dan dropped it.
If you wanted to chill and just have, your pit, your meats on grate, and you have some sort of refrigeration, and then afterwards, it cools down, turn it off, and you fire up, obviously the smoker part of the same exact unit. Because
what in the tar Jetson are you?
He's talking about a conveyor system.
Why? But think just for a second, think about
smoker made by Maytag.
One unit that both chilled and heated.
Yeah.
It's called a cooler. You can put ice and hot meat in there. There you go.
It could be done. The issue is that the refrigeration side has to have enough capacity to pull down from that superheated, like if we're finishing at 203. Have you ever actually opened up the foil and stuck a thermometer in and waited for that thing to come down, that butt or the brisket to come all the way down 165? It takes a long time. We still can go in the fridge at 165. So we got to be down to 40, below 40 degrees in less than 4 hours from that huge temperature. So, it would take some pretty high capacity in refrigeration to be able to blast chill or whatever to get it down fast.
Matt, it's going to take a deflux capacitor on the new Traeger Timberline. That'll do it, guaranteed.
But you know what, man? There's some guy out there who says,
You got to give up 90 degrees.
well, but now I don't have to take it from the fridge to the pit. It's just all in one.
Oh, you can go the other way very easy.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I mean. Meaning
Yeah.
going from cooling to heating, not
To heating.
not the opposite.
Matt, you're
Yeah.
solving. You're like Frank said earlier. You're solving a problem no one has. I mean, I don't think I've ever sat down like, man, I wish this pit had a fridge on it. That'd be so dope.
Now, I will though about pellets. I will encourage anybody that is a diehard pellet guy. Go check out Cook Shack. If you've never heard of Cook Shack, make sure to check out their. I know
They've been on the
those
page.
guys
Friends of the
well.
pod.
Yeah, they're all stainless. Like it's no joke. That's a really great pit right there.
Yeah.
Any of them, they're all great.
Awesome.
But you know, I think one of the biggest problems in barbecue right now, when you're talking about all these different pits and stuff like that, is when someone transitions from the box store, let's call it $1,800 and less smokers.
Mm-hmm.
Old country pits, you know, they're Pecos and stuff and whatever you want to throw at it and down. When you transition out of that world and try to get up into the, you know, above $2,000, the issue there becomes lead times. That's like the cancer in our industry right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like to think that, well, I mean, our lead time right now is 8 weeks, but I've seen some that are as much as 50 weeks.
Yeah.
Like you don't buy a car that way.
Well,
you know?
mine took. I mean, I got a cabinet pellet smoker from Lone Star Grills, and it took 5 months to get mine. But I mean, it is what it is on certain pits that are smaller craft. I guess you call them. That's the word, craft kind of builders.
Well, and Frank, this goes back to a little bit of the conversation we had at the Royal, where I told you I cook on a Lang, and I think Ben's business, when he started rolling his own, he added on to the building, from what I understand and whatnot, and started really manufacturing his own thing more and more. He got his lead time down, because if you're having to order, wait for it to cut, sheet, templates, except like, I know how to build a pit. Like, I understand the processes of it, but never have I arced, weld on one.
Right.
But
I think that's a huge part of it. Absolutely.
But that's not even the problem, though. The long lead times with the manufacturers, that the guys that are building pits every day in their shop. The real problem is the opening that we've made on social media, especially Facebook, for these scam accounts. And the guys that are posing as me and posing as Big Phil and all these other guys, Phil sent me one today that was a guy that started an account with my face on it.
Wow.
And we're powerless. We can't do anything about it. Facebook's rules basically say that it's not imitation.
All right.
But look at that guy that got sent to prison out in Ohio recently.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Southern Smokers and Grills or something it was called. I don't remember. There's a story on it if you Google it. Guy went to prison, and that's not his first time. It's like his third time doing it.
Yeah, scam.
Basically, he was posing as taking deposits or something.
Taking deposits and never delivering.
Oh, I think I did hear.
So what I'm basically saying is like, if you go in the Facebook smoker for sale groups, actually, I wrote a blog article about it on smokeslinger.com. I kind of hinted around. I tried not to be tasteless on it. I tried to kind of just be like, look, custom smokers are the most risky thing you could possibly buy right now. If you have to put a deposit down and you have to wait for, 6 months, a year, like, do you trust them? How do you trust them?
Yeah.
Like,
are they going to be in business? Is it actually going to come? And is it actually them?
Yeah. And so like, the only way that we can control it, like, I can't control that. That's nothing I can do about that. But the only way that I can control it is to not overcommit by selling too many I have to like stop taking orders.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Right.
if I can't make lead times, and that's the only way you can combat that.
Right.
And you just have to be better at manufacturing. You have to do
Sure.
whatever it takes to get good at it.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
Danny just popped something in here. It was actually Indiana about.
yeah, it was a builder out of Indiana.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, Frank, man, I appreciate your time, man. That's about all the time we have for you tonight, man. I
Sure.
truly appreciate you coming on, man. This is the time of the show where I want you to kind of let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up.
I'll be in the funny papers.
The funny paper,
No, I'm
right,
just
next to Garfield. Let's go.
No, if you'd like to know more about me, go to smokerbuilder.com or go to my YouTube channel, Smoker Builder on YouTube. And but if you'd like to know more about like what I'm doing now, go to smokerbuilder.com and hang out in there. That's our private community. There's some free fire management courses and stuff like that, as well as a community full of guys like Danny Holdman down there in the comments that are nuts about this. And you can also check out Smoke Slinger Pitts YouTube channel as well, where I show how to cook on direct heat smokers as good as an offset.
Awesome. Well, man, Frank, thank you so much, man. I've learned so much, and I love nerding out when it comes to barbecue. I mean, if I'm gonna nerd over anything, it's definitely gonna be barbecue. But
Yeah.
you are an artist and a genius,
Appreciate that.
and I truly appreciate you coming on and talking to our audience about what you do and how you do it. So
Yeah, I had a great time.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, man. Love the time.
see you. All right, we'll
Yep.
talk to you later, Frank. See you, buddy.
See you guys.
Man,
All
that
right,
guy-
man. Well, that's our show, man. Great guy. Well, man, guys, that's our show. So sorry that we missed you last week. I promise you it was a little conflict in schedule, but we will try to be more regular, and I do apologize. But if you like what you've seen tonight, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and share us, man. You know, only way we know that you like us is if you like us back. We're kind of conceited like that. So, guys, I truly appreciate your time. And Matt, you got anything else for them?
Nope. Keep on.
All right, guys. Well, like I said, when it comes to barbecue, make sure you're always right on cue. See you guys.
That's all, folks.